Good evening, Rowan. It's the evening of the 18th of October 2015 and it's 11:30 in the evening, and I'm making this video very late today because I was so tired out with all my raping and pillaging over the weekend that I had to have a lie-in this morning, and consequently I missed my best opportunity for priest seducing this week Sunday morning. I'm absolutely kicking myself. So to cheer myself up, I'm making you another video. The next instalment in my mini-series on Teresa of Avila. Or rather about the bizarre talk you gave about her and Thomas Merton on the 29th of September 2015 at Dedham Parish Church. I can't really go into everything that you said about the interior castle this evening, even though it wasn't very much. So this is going to be a two-part video, and hopefully if I don't get any action on the raping and pillaging front tomorrow, I'll make the second part then. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about what you said was her inspiration for the interior castle this evening. So this is what you said. In the interior castle, she describes how our journey towards God is a journey not into some distant far-off heaven, but a journey to the heart of ourselves. And you say selves, not selves. Each person is like a ringed castle, and those who've been to Avila will remember the unforgettable sight of that great medieval fortress with 88 towers on a hilltop, and think that must have been in her mind. Well, that gives quite a misleading impression, because there is no fortress in Avila. You're actually talking about the city of Avila, which is a fortified city. You could describe it as a fortress, I suppose, in a poetic sense. But anyway, it has the second best preserved city wall in Europe, and it has 88 towers on the city wall, so it's actually the city that you're talking about, and not a fortress as such. Anyway, luckily, we don't have to speculate about what was in her mind, because she actually tells us. And she tells us right at the beginning of the book, Interior Castle. And she tells us in the section entitled First Mansions, in Chapter 1, Parts 1 following. So anyway, this is what she says. While I was begging our Lord today to speak to me, since I knew not what to say nor how to commence this work which obedience has laid upon me, an idea occurred to me which I will explain, and which will serve as a foundation for what I am about to write. I thought of the soul as resembling a castle, formed of a single diamond or very transparent crystal, and containing many rooms, just as in heaven there are many mansions. If we reflect, sisters, we shall see that the soul of the just man is but a paradise in which God tells us he takes his delight. What do you imagine must that dwelling be in which a king so mighty, so wise, and so pure, containing in himself all good, can delight to rest? Nothing can be compared to the great beauty and capabilities of a soul, however keen our intellects may be. They are as unable to comprehend them as to comprehend God, for, as he has told us, he created us in his own image and likeness. As this is so, we need not tire ourselves by trying to realise all the beauty of this castle, although, being his creature, there is all the difference between the soul and God that there is between the creature and the Creator. The fact that it is made in God's image teaches us how great are its dignity and loveliness. It is no small misfortune and disgrace that, through our own fault, we neither understand our nature nor our origin. Now there is actually an even more expansive description of Teresa's inspiration for the imagery of the castle that she uses, and it's in a letter from Diego de Yepes, who was a friend of Teresa's and later Bishop of Tarazona, and he wrote this letter to Luis de Leon, who was at the time compiling Teresa's works for publication. And this is what Diego de Yepes said in this letter to Luis de Leon, and he's talking about Teresa. This Holy Mother had been desirous of obtaining some insight into the beauty of a soul in grace. Just at that time she was commanded to write a treatise on prayer, about which she knew a great deal from experience. On the eve of the festival of the Most Holy Trinity, she was thinking what subject she might choose for this treatise, when God, who disposes all things in due form and order, granted this desire of hers, and gave her a subject. He showed her a most beautiful crystal globe, made in the shape of a castle, and containing 7 mansions, in the 7th and innermost of which was the King of Glory, in the greatest splendour, illuming and beautifying them all. The nearer one got to the centre, the stronger was the light. Outside the palace limits, everything was foul, dark, and infested with toads, vipers, and other venomous creatures. While she was wondering at this beauty, which by God's grace can enter the human soul, the light suddenly vanished. Although the King of Glory did not leave the mansions, the crystal globe was plunged into darkness, became as black as coal, and emitted an insufferable odour, and the venomous creatures outside the palace boundaries were permitted to enter the castle. This was a vision which the Holy Mother wished that everyone might see, for it seemed to her that no mortal, seeing the beauty and splendour of grace, which sin destroys and changes into such hideousness and misery, could possibly have the temerity to offend God. It was about this vision she told me on that day. And this information isn't hard to find. It's in a number of the translations of Interior Castle in English. The one I've read from is a translation by E. Alison Pierce. The translation that I'm guessing that you use is one that was undertaken by the Benedictines of Stanbrook Abbey, but a slightly abbreviated form of that explanation is in there as well. But I have noticed that you do like to remove the supernatural element of prayer, which is quite bizarre really, because what's the point of prayer if there's no supernatural? It seems to me that your intention is to make out that it's nothing more than a psychological exercise. And you also seem to have quite a Gnostic understanding of the world, as well, as if your true nature is separate from your actions, that you can behave in the evil way you do, and you can still approach God. So anyway, I'm going to be moving on to talk a bit about that, and a few other things that you said about Interior Castle tomorrow. And I might entitle tomorrow's video, if I do it tomorrow, because I might be coming to arrest you tomorrow, don't forget, so I'm not sure what day I'll do it on, but it'll be sometime this week, so you've got that to look forward to. But anyway, I might entitle my next video, Outside the Palace Limits. So anyway, I hope you've had a lovely weekend. And don't forget, be alert.